Welcome to From the Woodshed, where we talk about all things Maine cabins, and all things Maine related. Coming to you from the Kennebec Cabin Company, home of the Maine Cabin Masters in Manchester, Maine. Open year-round, stopping for live music, delicious food, and cold beverages before or after your visit to our retail location. From the Woodshed is brought to you by Nelma. See the stamp, trust quality. Hammond Lumber Company, our building materials supplier, and Benjamin Moore, the official paint and stain supplier of the Kennebec Cabin Company. Only available at locally owned stores. We're wicked excited to get started, so let's head on in. From the Woodshed, I'm Chase Morrill. With me as always, Ryan Eldridge. And today we have Nori Morrill filling in for Maggie.
Hi guys.
We could almost call this a test.
It's job interview?
Job interview. But we're here to talk about all things Maine, all things cabin, all things Maine cabin related. You can find us at KennebecCabinCompany.com, MaineCabinMasters.com, our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Kennebec Cabin Company YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out our online store at shop.KennebecCabinCompany.com. We always want to thank our sponsors, Hammond Lumber, the official building materials supplier of Kennebec Cabin Company, Nelma, Northeast Lumber Manufacturing Association, and Benjamin Moore, the official paint and stain supplier of Kennebec Cabin Company, only available in locally owned stores. Our guests today are Steve Ferguson and Barry Worthing from Brant and Cochran. They are a Maine axe making company.
Really nice axes.
Beautiful axes that we do sell in the store, and they've got a very unique, interesting story and a lot of history with axe making in Maine, so it'll be fun talking to them.
And people buy those axes and use them.
They are meant to be used.
Yeah. And it's like you get what you pay for with an axe. Like a nice axe, like it's a lot more efficient. Would you agree?
Yes, and as long as you like everything else, as long as you take care of it, maintain it, it will last
generations.
Yeah, 100+ years.
Nori, what you up to?
Not much.
How many jobs do you have now?
2.
2?
Yeah.
Possibly 3.
No, this is my one day off, so I'm keeping it.
How do you lure you in here?
What?
How do you lure you in?
Nobody else was available.
What a sweetheart.
What are your jobs for the summer?
I nanny for a family in Wayne, and I work as a lifeguard and swim instructor at the Y.
Do you want to give out a shout out to Hannah and Ford?
Yeah, shout out to Hannah and Ford. They're real ones.
Do they listen to the show?
They don't.
I bet they'll listen to this one.
I'm sure Ford would find it very funny, though. So.
How long have you been with them?
I've been with them, I think this is my 5th year.
Wow.
So a long time.
You don't want them to come over to the pool with you.
I think they would love that.
Yeah, and then we'll have a built-in lifeguard. Perfect.
Yeah.
Right. And it is also strawberry season right now, too. Holy smokes.
Yep. Stevenson strawberries.
Nori brought home some. Just monster strawberries.
Because it was a good year for it this year, right?
Juicy, red.
Yeah.
We could have strawberry shortcake today. Come on.
Sorry, forgot.
That would have been good.
Strawberries don't tend to last long in our house.
We are finally in the summer.
Yeah.
This June has been amazing. I feel like we're living last year was just tough.
Yes.
It rained and rained and rained.
It's been a beautiful summer. Hopefully, knock on wood, keeps going. I've got a question. How many jars of pickles do you think you go through at your house in a week?
Maybe 1.
All right. Jen?
And maybe go through 1 every other month.
All right.
How many pickles going out North Way?
We probably go through 3 or 4 jars of pickles a week.
Okay, but we have 6 people in our household, so.
Pickles are healthy.
But what kind of pickles do you
Doesn't matter.
But there's got to be a favorite.
What is it? The Morses?
Morses.
Morses.
Those ones are the best.
Have you had Wickles pickles?
Yep.
Wickles. Morses sour mustard.
But truly, we'll go through, even if it's just your basic plastic dill pickles, these kids will go into the fridge and they choose pickles as their snacks.
Nori, you should tell your dad. I mean, you could be going through a lot worse things, right?
Yeah.
And there's 6 tubs of.
No, I'm not it just surprises me how many pickles this family eats in a week.
Well, you guys should plant cucumbers and make your own pickles.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure.
Right?
Mimi Peggy used to make the best bread and butter pickles.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Eva doesn't like bread and butter pickles. Neither does Maggie.
Well, if they had Mimi's bread and butter pickles.
Yeah.
And she made pickle
Do
lily.
you think they were meant to go on with bread and just white bread and butter? Why are they called bread and butter? Do you ever think about it?
Right? Wonder bread and butter and pickles. Sounds delicious.
I was gonna say it sounds pretty delicious.
Chicken digestive tract with all its pickles.
Is that something pickles do?
Like it's like a fermented thing, right? So
Jenny always drinks pickle juice. If there's a pickle jar there,
We don't eat the drink.
Yeah, no.
cucumbers. But when we do have cucumbers, if you have it's not like cucumber. Is that what they're called?
pickles?
Where you put the cucumbers in and just they don't really become pickles, but they get that pickly.
With like ice and dill
Like-
or whatever.
cucumber. That's
Like a
another great
bowl
thing
with-
in Maine. A cucumber sandwich in
with
another
some
couple
ice.
weeks.
Yeah.
White bread, mayo, with cucumber, salt, and pepper. Oh,
But maybe that is why it was bread, right? Like that's
might have
good.
been.
Maybe that's how bread and butters came around.
I don't think that's right.
Maybe Brant and Cochran know the answer to that. Pickles and axes.
yeah, so it's been nice. Wow, it was a pretty crazy stretch of filming since we got back from Italy.
Yes.
It was pretty much we've been filming nonstop for 4 or 5 months.
Yes.
So it's been nice to take the foot off the brake a little bit. We got 4 projects going now, not 8.
Yep. Yeah. It seems like things are going slow, but it's just the normal pace now.
Yeah, we had an amazing employee day with the carpentry crew last Friday.
Yes.
A lot of fun.
Big shout out to Lyndon J.
Yes,
Salter.
thank you guys.
Excuse me.
That couldn't have been a more perfect place because we're always trying to find something fun to do. Like we've gone to the Red Sox, we've gone here, and sometimes it's just a lot. That was just perfect. We went out there, spent the afternoon. We played volleyball.
Yep.
Rocco won for my team. Rocco, shout out to Rocco.
Rocco was the scorekeeper, and then all of a sudden he joined Ryan's team, and somehow they're all of a sudden winning. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nori knows Rocco. They're in the same grade.
Oh my God, he played the didgeridoo for me last night. I was at the back before like
What?
5 o'clock.
What?
Have you heard him play the didgeridoo? He's amazing. Last time I saw one of those was in the Grateful Dead concert in '93 in a parking lot in RFK Stadium, I think.
First drum circle, somebody brought a didgeridoo.
He's had some
And Rocco plays the didgeridoo.
He's got a little bit of everything going on, doesn't he?
Yes. So, a few episodes of Building Italy have aired.
What'd you guys think?
Do you want to give what'd you think? Have you watched any of the episodes?
No.
You haven't?
No, I've been too busy.
Me too. I finally watched it the other day.
Do you miss Italy?
Yeah, I guess.
Don't watch it because you're gonna miss Italy more.
What was your favorite part of Italy?
Hanging out with you?
I don't know. The food was good. And
I
it was
thought you were
nice.
gonna say the other F word, family, extended family. The food was amazing.
Food was amazing.
What was your favorite part?
I think working with the kids.
Yeah.
How sweet.
It was pretty cool to see that you guys actually listen, pay attention, and you're hard workers. It was pretty amazing.
Yep.
You
That was
guys
not
kicked
my favorite
butt.
part.
You guys worked hard. I mean, it became Crunchy. They showed Crunchy a little bit. They didn't show enough of Crunchy though.
No.
Crunchy was this electric machine that pulverized the rocks because it,
Very, very unassuming.
yeah, I know.
It's little. You could pick 2 people, pick it up, move it around.
Yeah.
And we were extremely skeptical. We have that giant pieces of rock, and Crunchy
I mean,
ate it all.
a couple dump trucks went through Crunchy, so they don't throw anything away there. It's very expensive to go to the landfill, correct? So they repurpose everything. So when you tear down something concrete or chip up the old floor, you bring it up, you run it through Crunchy, you run it through a couple times. And when the sand comes out, you bring that back downstairs. You give it to Paolo or the other guys, and they make concrete out of it and build you another wall.
Yep.
Circle of life for concrete.
Yep. Nori hauled a lot of buckets of rubble.
Yeah, that was probably the worst day
But there
in Italy.
was 2 days we were on Crunchy. I remember I had the kids. They're all dressed in black and they had their black puffies on, and you guys were white by the end of it.
Yeah.
But you didn't stop. I was very impressed with how hard you guys worked.
Thanks.
I don't want to give away too much more.
No, yeah. But there's a lot more good stuff to come. A lot of fun family stuff.
Italy will be just about over by the time this airs.
Wow.
Really?
Wild. It went fast. It's like a dream.
It was like a dream.
But at least we have it documented.
Yeah. Well, let's take a short break. And after this video, we're going to meet with our friends Brant and Cochran
Or Stephen Barry.
from Brant and Cochran.
Brant and Cochran axes are heirloom quality, handcrafted tools to be used now and passed down for generations. We stand on the shoulders of a long line of Maine axe makers and honor their craft by forging an iconic Maine wedge pattern axe. No robots, no AI, no assembly line. Brant and Cochran axes are individually made in our South Portland, Maine shop by skilled makers who forge each axe head out of U.S. carbon tool steel, grind the edge until it's wicked sharp, and hang it on an A-grade Amish-turned hickory handle of our own design. Finally, we protect it with a Maine-made leather sheath. When finished, we deliver what Field and Stream magazine calls one of the 4 best axes being made in the world right now. Handcrafted axes from Maine by Brant and Cochran. From our hands to yours.
Well, that was another good video today, huh?
That was. And we are back with our guest, Steve and Barry. You guys are Brant and Cochran axe makers. Axe makers?
Axe makers, yeah.
Welcome,
That's right.
guys. All the way up from South Portland?
Yes, South Portland. We're down by Bug Light,
Yeah.
Which is by SMCC in South Portland.
Well, this is where we shoot the shit.
Yeah.
I want to know if you guys like a coffee, a water, or a beer.
Oh, beer, of course. That's this time of day.
We're batting 1,000. No one's ever offered coffee, and we don't have coffee. Today's segment is brought to us by our friends Definitive. Definitive is a local brewery out of Portland. They got a tie to Cobbessy Lake. And they just have some really good beers, and we're really focused on them this year at the Woodshed. They're one of our title sponsors. So today I'm going to have a Definitive. Chase is going to have...
It's right here. Got that?
And the guys over there,
Yeah,
You guys have a beer?
they're going with their Definitive.
Cold.
There's
We
a
love cold.
mug there if you need it. Or if you want it, take it home with you. Empty or full, doesn't matter. But thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
It's definitely a beer drink a day, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's been a beer drink a week.
It's a beer drinking light, dude.
I'll drink to that. Oh, finally the dog days of summer. So tell us about Brant and Cochran.
Well, it all started in 2015, 2014, 2015. My brother was coming up to Portland to see his daughter, who was at USM. And at the time, I was looking for an axe for my godson, who was going off to forestry school in Paul Smith's in New York, and couldn't find an American-made axe. And, Snow and Neely was one of the last axe makers in Maine. And when I went to their website, it said assembled in Maine. And they're no longer making the heads here. And so I went online and ended up buying a Swedish axe. And, my brother would come out. He and I would talk about maybe starting a business. I said, dude, there's no axes being made in Maine anymore.
It's like nobody's making lobster boats anymore either. It's like they're made in Rhode Island or something.
Really?
Right.
No.
So,
Yes. Right. Yeah.
and so we just thought, hey, we started an axe company, there'd be a demand for it. And we knew there was kind of a market. There's a whole group on Facebook called Axe Junkies. There's kind of a resurgence of, buying quality tools, whether it be an axe or a hand plane, spoke shave, chisels, all that kind of stuff. We kind of made the throwaway society, and this new generation is buying stuff to last and appreciating it.
Yeah, we've noticed that as well. Spending money on better furniture, better pieces, rather than just going through.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
I don't know if I dare to touch it, because these are axes. These are functioning axes, but they are works of art. We've had them in the store almost since day one, right, Chase?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they're just beautiful.
So you decided you wanted to start an axe business.
And we knew nothing about that.
Did you guys
Which is
start
the way all good ideas start.
Scotch.
Yeah, Scotch is the way all ideas start. Some are good, some are not so good.
and then the axe throwing craze came after you guys, so that must help.
It kind of coincided. We made some throwing axes for Whistle Pig Distillery.
Oh, yeah.
About 25 of them. We actually made, the handles were made out of barrel staves. They
cool.
shipped us
Oh, wow.
5 or 7 barrels.
That was a freaking
it
mess.
was
I mean, it was awful.
Oh,
Yeah.
because
Chockable everywhere in the shop. It's a mess.
And then you run it through, a thickness plane or whatever to get it out, and it was just a bloody mess. But anyways, the handles had to be laminated 2 staves because they were too thin by the time they got the charcoal out. And they look great. They loved them, but
They function well. Yeah.
These axes are $300, so you're not going to throw these things,
Right.
Really. I mean,
Were you guys woodworkers or iron forgers or?
No, I'm a nurse, an ER nurse for 25 years plus, and so no, but my father grew up in the Depression, and one of the things that I learned from him was make do, redo, or do without. And so DIY was something well before DIY was anything, So for me, it's like handy around the house is kind of natural to me. So
yeah, and I did some carpentry, when I was in college in the summers and landscaping and various things. My dad was a cabinet maker. He was also a minister, just like Jesus, he did the gospel and then he made furniture, So, so he was big into woodworking tools and woodworking. So a lot of our exposure to axes were really camping and canoe trips.
Yeah.
I grew up in Michigan and Ohio, and we would go to northern Minnesota to the Boundary Waters and go on these canoe trips. And you'd always bring an axe with you for firewood and trail blazing or whatever needed to be done. So,
yep.
How do you? I've got so many questions. Each axe is new. It's not a refurbished axe.
no, we started as a restoration business.
Yeah.
Because we knew nothing about axe making. So
Yeah.
Barry and I and my brother would go buy old messed up axes at tool barns and yard sales and fix them up.
So you'd bring them home, and would you like reforge them or just sharpen them and new handles, that type of
we
stuff?
would look at them, and the first thing we would do once we learned from some of our mentors, I guess, in this business, is we bought some Rockwell hardness chisels, which are a way of mimicking the Rockwell hardness test, which says, is the bit going to be hard enough to hold an edge so not be ruined? So we wanted to make sure that this old axe didn't get thrown in the fireplace to burn the handle out so they could put a new handle on it and ruin the temper at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? So we'd scratch these and we'd take, all right, is this usable? Yeah. And then we would grind them and reprofile the bit. We would grind off any mushrooming, new handles, add some patina to the finish if it didn't have its own natural patina.
Yep.
So just what it needed to be functional and somewhat aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. Because we started at Open Bench. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's in Portland, and it's still in existence.
It's like a maker space.
It's a maker space. And so our business started in an 8x8 little building that we built
Cubicle.
inside this place. Because our first machine was this 2x72 grinder that could reprofile axes.
And we had to lock that up because we didn't want everybody else using that tool.
The maker space means every time you walk in, something's broken.
Yeah.
So like we bought a sandblaster, and that's how we got the rust off the heads. But every time you go in there to use the bandsaw would be broken because some idiot.
We've got a few maker spaces then.
Yeah. So that's
Make a mess.
so we just did restoration there. And it wasn't until 2017 that we found some people and they'd talked to enough blacksmiths and machinists to begin the process of making an axe. Because we were up at Common Ground Fair selling these restored axes in September of 2017.
Yep.
And people come in and were like, yeah, next year we're going to bring an axe. And they'd say, who's doing that? We have no idea. Do you know how to make axes? No, we don't know anything about it. So, and then we had this guy come in and say, I think I can figure it out. In the fall, later in the fall, we did a GoFundMe to buy a 25-ton hydraulic press. We raised about $15,000, and that was kind of our first machine, was this 25-ton press. And then we had some other friends from Open Bench who had a 25-pound power hammer, which is the ones, bam, bam, bam. And between those two machines, we made axes from 2017 till 20.
Yeah.
When we got the new 50-ton.
Yep.
But it was, and there's no here's where you go to buy stuff to make axes. No, you have
can't
to
just
figure
order
that
it.
crap
You got to
out
figure
yourself.
it out, design it.
Where do you get the metal for 'em?
So the metal comes out of Lackawanna, New York. The distributor for it's in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
So it's American steel.
Yep.
And we get it cut into sized billets for us by the distributor, which is thankful.
Comes in 22-foot rods.
Right. And so we buy
So
it.
you have to flatten it with the pound.
Yeah.
So basically, it comes about, it's about this round and about this tall is what it comes like. And the first thing you do is you have to square and punch a hole through it.
Because they extrude it through something. They mold.
Yeah, well, square steel is just more expensive to buy. We've since been able to find some square steel, but it's really plate steel. So think about a sheet of plywood that's 2 inches thick steel, and then they plasma cut it to the dimensions that we need. But because we can get square steel now, we're ahead of the process. It takes a good hour to take 4 of these round billets to make it square.
Yeah.
And so we've been able to kind of speed it up.
You want to shave me?
Yeah. Good.
I'll let you. You sure?
Yes.
That one's actually,
No, that's one of theirs.
Yeah.
Not one of
the
ours.
ones we bring are
Dull
dull.
for that reason.
So I didn't realize before we started selling your axes that there's so many different specific designs and profiles for axe heads.
Yeah.
And do you mimic, like, do you replicate certain styles? Do you have your own designs for axe heads?
So this is the poster you get when you get an axe.
Yeah.
from us. But on the back side,
Is that you guys in your younger years?
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
I can see the resemblance.
but the back side has all these different style axes. And Maine had its own axe, the Maine wedge. And every axe is a little bit different depending on the region. There's Connecticut's, there's Jersey's, there's Michigan's.
What made the main wedge?
So the Maine wedge is, well, Maine berry.
Well, I think part of it is it's what did we cut down predominantly back in the day was soft wood, right? That's what masts, unfortunately for the King of England, right? But moving forward, right, for building in soft woods. And so the design of the main wedge, with its very narrow, flat profile that goes from kind of this to nothing, it allows those chips to fly out. If it was narrower or thicker, it would get bound up in that softwood. Now, fast forward and look at hardwoods or something else, or different species of tree, or different size of trees like the Douglas firs out west, where they have these very long, narrow bits to be able to reach into those. So part of it is just, what are we working with, and who started the first one? Well, what's working best? And so that's become the axe of Maine, and really no other company has replicated that in any way. You see Hudson Bays made by other companies, whether they're offshore or onshore, but nobody makes this but us.
Yeah.
So,
And most of the axes you find in the hardware store, those are Michigan patterns. I don't know why that one kind of was the staple for the entire country, but that's where you get at Lowe's. That's where you get at Ace Hardware.
What's the one where people used to build houses with it, right? That one, like a hammer on one end, like
no, like even carpenters, you get a landing hatchet or carpenter's hatchet. Yep. Shingling hatchet. Yep.
So the main wedge is really, you can see it's just very angular, very fat, kind of stout pole. Other axes from about the eye up just get narrow immediately, whereas this just tapers. So it's very, very different kind. So.
And then this guy.
Yeah, this is the main wedge double bit. And the unique thing about this is you look at most double bits, the eye is always oval. And for some reason, they decided to make a diamond-shaped eye.
and the eye is
That's where the handle is.
where the handle goes in.
Oh, yeah.
You can see it's a diamond shape. And unlike other double bits where it just kind of smoothly rounds over, they make this distinctive edge here.
And when you think about it, so this axe is made from the same round billet of steel, the same amount of steel as the Allagash Cruiser is. And so it's the same amount of steel. And with a Cruiser, you only move one part forward. In this case, you move both parts forward, and now you have wedges back to back. So it's
We were saying earlier, the hard part of this is trying to get the bit, which is the cutting part, to line up on both sides. Because every time you pound one side, it offsets the other. So the straightening part is extremely difficult. We have one blacksmith that makes about 2 of these a week. And
the patient man.
that's it.
Yeah.
So it started out just 3 of you?
Yes.
Yep.
How many? So do you have your own dedicated space now?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
We're now in South Portland. The open ventures in Portland.
Yeah. What do we have? Probably 5,000 square feet now.
Oh yeah, we have more space than we need.
Well,
We were thinking about a pickleball court, but
Well, it's the kind of thing where like these landscapers left, right? And we needed space, but we didn't need that much space. But think about moving all this, machinery across town.
It's another bay in the same building. So now we're
pushing it across.
3/4 of the business in the building.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
it just kind of works out. Yeah.
And it's all hardwood to the handle?
The handles are made out of hickory. They're out of Southern Ohio.
Yeah.
They're made by an Amish outfit. My brother actually has a picture of our handles in the back of a cart pulled by a horse.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
So one of our Tanner Wilcox, our handle guy in-house, hand shaped the handles as the template for all of these.
Yeah.
And so then they turn those handles for us. And ideally we'd like to go back to ash, which is what we started with in the beginning when we first were doing restorations and making. Yeah. But the supplier in the state really kind of didn't want to do more, and they've kind of folded essentially. But we're in the works with the University of Maine again, like we did for our expansion project, to collaborate with another Maine company that has wood turning equipment that can make and has acquired a 4-head duplicating lathe that can make these oblong shapes or not round shapes.
Yeah, irregular shapes. It's kind of like, when you make a key at the hardware store, you have a follower, and then you have a blank. That's what this is. And University of Maine has, 3D scanned these, 3D printed them, and now we're going to get them cast, because one of our problems is the turner in Ohio, after so many times, this thing's pressing on it.
What's going to wear down, and now you start to get, hey, wait a minute, is it out of square by how much? What is it at the end? Right?
I imagine your tolerance is a lot less than ours.
Yeah, but it's the same idea, right? Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
You multiply that error, right?
No whiskey square, that stuff.
So axe making is a pretty ancient tradition. It's pretty, primitive in sorts. Have you guys incorporated any of modern, like you were talking about working with UMO as far as like 3D printing, designing, that type of stuff?
So we've been working with the Manufacturing Extension Partnership at University of Maine. And one of the things that we've added is an induction forge, which is, it's basically the size of like a microwave. And right now it takes about 30 minutes to heat up the billets, the metal, to make it pliable enough for a 25 or 50 ton press. This does it in 180 seconds.
Wow.
And so it's like Star Trek, man.
Right. So you take a tenfold difference in how long it takes to heat that up to a working temperature from room temperature.
Yeah.
And you think about it, it's the same technology that induction cooktops are.
Right.
And this forge is only this big. Now the chiller is the size of a large commercial refrigerator, which is in another room, but that's another story, And then we've added additional presses from the same company that we've been working with, Coal Iron Works out in Indiana, who designed some task-specific presses. So this is what they do. Yeah. Our original presses really are kind of Swiss Army knives, Leathermans, where you can do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but not all of them ideally, right?
Yeah.
So
it doesn't do anything well.
So the strength comes, you have to cool it right off after you get it perfect. Is that?
Well, not necessarily. What happens is they straighten them, and then from there it goes into a heat treat up. And it's basically a kiln for metal. And it goes in at 1,525 degrees, and then it gets quenched in salt water, which is about at 90 degrees. And I think it's 6% salinity.
But just under 6.
Yeah. It goes in for 3 seconds, and you actually have to go in a certain motion. You don't just dunk it in. You actually take it with the tongs, and you go in this motion. I don't know why.
But part of it is just to evenly cool. Yes. And then, so that's the hardening process. And what that creates is a very hard, brittle structure. But then it goes through this kiln process, additional heat treating process, which allows that to become more pliable, soft, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. And then we get to that hardness that we need for the sharpening.
Yeah, we keep it at about 56 Rockwell, which is what the U.S. Forest Service specs are. And then we differentially temper the back. So we take a acetylene torch, and from the eye back, they take and they watch the color. It turns to straw color. And they go back and forth so that this is about 50. And that just takes some of the...
What that kind of does is, the old axes made, so the old Maine axe companies in Oakland and other places, they were made with 2 pieces of steel, right? So they were made with a mild steel wrapped around that metal drift that created the eye. And then bit steel, which is this higher carbon quality tool steel, was just a small portion, maybe a third or so of that bit was forge welded on. If you find an old axe that's been sitting around, you might see different points of rust or right, and you see pitting. Wait a minute, there's pitting here, but it stops. There's a line of demarcation that says nothing here. Well, that's the bit steel. Well, those were mild steel, and they were more forgiving. The handle, and the eye it flexed a little bit. Okay, flex again in terms of steel, right? And that's what we're replicating here because we're making it out of one piece.
Yeah, because tool steel was really expensive, back in the late 1800s, early, 1900s, which is why most trees were cut with axes. You always think, oh, they have these big broad saws, they're going back and forth. That's really came later because tool steel is super expensive.
Trust.
Now, it must be gratifying. Like you were saying, this all started because you wanted to buy an axe.
Yep.
You ended up having to buy a Swiss axe.
Right.
It must be gratifying to know that you are now producing axes in Maine that are being shipped
to Norway.
Oh, as far as India.
No, actually, they're from the one I bought was Sweden.
Sweden.
But when we send a bunch of axes to Sweden, that'll be our.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because they make great axes. It's called Grafers Brooks. I don't know if you've heard of them.
They're really good.
They sell them at. You guys know Lee Nielsen.
Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah.
Right. And it's that kind of thing. It's like that's who we're selling to, people who appreciate fine quality stuff. And these are really not out of price, except for this guy that goes for $6.95, out of price with like Granfers.
Yeah.
We've shipped to India, and we have an order going to Norway to a gear store
Oh, that's awesome.
in Norway, which is
Not Norway, Maine.
Not Norway, Maine, right? Yeah.
It was probably one in Norway, Maine. I follow this guy down south, Renaissance Timber. You know him?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Steve Smith. Yeah, we love Steve.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Great.
I watch him on Instagram. We talked about.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool what he does.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's got some really funky. I mean, of course, his stuff is. His hewing axes are very different from what we use, and he's acquired some newer ones, and he's had someone that we know make one for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Two-part question.
Yeah.
Is there value in old axe heads, and what is the best way to restore and maintain an old axe if you have your own?
Well, restore your old one, send it to us, we'll take care of it.
No, do you still do that?
We still do that.
We do like 10 or 15 a month.
Oh, we take in customer axes from around the country on a regular basis. People will cut the handle off, ship it in a box.
Put it in a one price box, those $9.95
Post office
FedEx
boxes,
ones.
and
they'll ship it right to you.
Yeah.
You'll take it from there.
yeah, and then our guys will call and say, "What do you want done to it?"
Yeah.
But honestly, I think that if you start with new, right?
Yeah.
Then the old saying is, you don't sharpen it, you keep it sharp, right? So if you maintain it and take care of it and put it away, ready to go the next time, that's putting some coating on the bit to keep it from rusting, putting some more linseed oil or other finish or something on your handle to keep it moist, then you can preserve the longevity of that and make that go longer. Because if that handle dries, now the head's going to start to get loose.
Right.
Gotcha.
And how do you know if an axe head is worth keeping around and storing?
Well, as Barry was saying, we have these hardness chisels. Now we have a hardness tester.
Yeah, which is
That
more
more
specific, more like scientific, like,
I don't know if it works because the big problem with these hardness testers, they're meant for flat things, and ours is angular. And so we've had these different jigs made by the university, and I don't know if it's currently working, but the first thing we do is we use the hardness tester and find out if the bit is at least 54, 50, maybe even 52 Rockwell, because that'll keep an edge. But if it's like 48, 50, it's like, this is a wall hanger.
But that's the other point is, what is your purpose of this?
Yeah.
Is this to be a display only?
Yeah.
Then that's fine. We can make any axe a display only axe. If your intent is to use it, there are some that we look at and say, this is not a usable axe.
So, I mean, you'll look at them, you'll evaluate them, you'll give recommendations.
Yeah, we sometimes clean them up and you'll see a hairline crack and we're like, dude, I wouldn't swing this.
And sometimes people will say, well, do everything. We're like, no, let's not take all of this nice aged patina, all of these stories that are engraved embedded in this axe. Yeah. Let's keep that. And whose was this? Was it your grandfather's?
Yeah.
Do you want to keep all those stories
Yeah.
within touch, right?
Yeah, one of the cool stories, we had an axe from somebody out in San Francisco. They were redoing a condo, and they pulled a wall down, and there was an axe inside this wall, and it had a stamp on it. It was a San Francisco axe maker, and they had us restore it. And when we talked to them on the phone, they said, "Yeah, and if we ever sell the place, the axe is going with the condo. It lives here."
Yeah, and it was over 100 years old.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah. So we hear lots of great stories from people that are sending in axes.
Well, I'm getting a thumbs up from Nori. She might have some I could go on and on and on.
of course we can.
This is fascinating.
And we got a bunch of door stops at our other shop for you to check. It's all axe heads, right? There's at least a dozen of them.
But yeah, she has some questions.
Yeah, I have some fan questions for you guys. The first one comes from Elaine Stanley. She asks, has Maine always been known for the axe industry?
Yeah, I mean, I
say pretty much.
I think so. I mean, the town of Oakland at one point had about a dozen or 10 or a dozen all operating on the Meslonsky Stream in our, mile and a half stretch, cross the river side by each, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that, the last one closed in 65, but you think about the state, there were probably well in excess of 200 plus axe companies over the course of time.
Yeah, they were making
From Fort Kent all the way down to Southern Maine.
Yeah, we've gone up to Augusta to the library. We've gone to Oakland to the library. My brother's gone through boxes of crap. They were making hundreds of dozens of axes a week.
There's a lot of tree cutting back.
And, so they probably made more axes in Oakland than anywhere on the planet, up and through probably about 1964.
Yeah, and I think, I'd say World War II probably was the slowdown point.
Yeah.
And then it started to trickle away.
Yeah, it was basically the chainsaw, man.
Jen, just feel like something Oakland could be known for.
But
She's an Oakland girl.
not 1860.
Correct, 1965.
They made matches, too.
Matches.
You have to burn that wood somehow.
Yeah, right.
That can just chop down.
Okay, and our second question comes from Shelley Butler. She asks, are your axes good for the regular homeowner, or are they more geared towards professionals?
Professional homeowners?
Yeah, professional. Yeah.
Well, our LES Cruiser is a basic work axe. It's 20.
Anyone could
It's
swing
got a
that.
28-inch handle.
This
No, it's that one. It's the larger one. It's an all-purpose axe. You could certainly, cut a tree down. It's probably more for limbing. You could split.
I feel like
wood,
an axe man with this thing.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't you just want to start chopping
Right?
able
I wanna-
have it at it?
Can we?
So we certainly sell to professionals, but we home to home.
Yeah, they're meant to be a working axe. They're not to be a showpiece. They're meant to be a working axe, and that's why we chose the Eldridge Cruiser, the size of it, not bigger, not smaller, because it's kind of a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
From the axe perspective. Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Well, that too.
And then the last question comes from Sam Ledger. He asks, what is the process for making an axe?
Okay. Well, first you got to buy a bunch of machines. You got to go into debt.
Have a crazy idea.
Yeah, and then you got to find a bunch of people crazy enough to do it. Actually, so we start with 3.5 pounds of tool steel. We heat it in a gas forge, although as said earlier, we're going to induction forge now. And the billet, honestly, that piece of steel is worth about what, $7-8?
I think it's up to 12 now.
Oh shoot!
But
Anyways, so most of what goes into axe making is the labor. So it's a lot of labor from the time it starts until the time it's ground and we put a handle on it. So
it's a value-added product, right? So the metal workers, the blacks, the makers, they add all that value to it. And then everyone else that works with us, the person that puts the handle on, that hangs the handle on it, at least one of us as partners or owners touches that axe before it goes out the door. So it's handled and inspected and really kind of critiqued over and over and over again throughout the process.
Who does the leather work? That's beautiful.
So Matt Terrio in Minot, Maine.
The Holler Leatherworks.
Leatherworks. Matt is fantastic. He does all the work for us. He actually keeps us in line. We're half the time don't know how many we have left, and he's like, "Hey, I think you might be shy a couple. I'm trying to get on this." And
we've made a few panic calls on Friday to him,
but initially, leather workers were like rock and roll drummers, man. They were just dying like flies, or peeling off like flies. They didn't die, but we found Matt, and he's just been fantastic. So
plus he has his own line of other stuff.
Yeah, he does leather goods,
which is really nice stuff.
So you can find Brant Cochran access right at our store.
Yep.
You can buy them
Online.
Do you have a retail store at your space, or is it
Not as such, but by appointment we can make up. We are still on a bit of a lag on the shipping from order time. So we're under the 20 weeks that we had been at for some period of time after the pandemic. That is creeping down slowly with the addition of the new equipment. So we're closing that gap. And then we have a few other retailers around the state that have them on occasion, the Woods, Maine, and Norway, Shelter Tool, and Woolwich, Kidder Trading Post. So there are other places that have them and elsewhere around the country as well.
You still go to the Common Ground Fair?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
We love that.
Oh yeah. That's
man, axes just fly out of there.
That is one of our favorite shows.
You sell everything.
It's exhausting.
It is.
It's exhausting, but it's so much.
Great.
It's so worthwhile. The conversations and the experience with everybody, and the people that come back and say, "This thing is working great." The one I got last year, or whatever. It's fun.
Yeah, if you love Maine, you have to go to the Common Ground Fair at least once in your life.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
It's late,
Or every year.
late September.
Yeah. Mid. Yeah.
Usually in the 20s.
Yeah.
And for our fans, how would you describe the Common Ground Fair?
It's the Grateful Dead concert without the Grateful Dead.
There you go. Pretty good.
And without the
I mean, you get up in the morning. We get there early, right? And there's people. It's like
Very healthy.
35 degrees, right?
Very healthy.
And they have sweaters on, pants, no shoes, barefoot.
Wet grass, walking around. And you're like, okay, this is my weekend that I'm just gonna go back to the earth, right?
It's like,
so, which is totally
let the
appropriate.
freak fly,
Because that's what it's
fly,
about.
man. And it's great. We love those people. We are those people.
Yes, we are.
Nice. What's your website? Brant Cochran.
BMCtools.com.
BMCtools.com. You can also again find them at our store online. But Steve, Barry, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. This is super informative. Yeah.
Always have to
Appreciate
tell
it.
the story.
Yeah.
All right. After this, next video, we'll be back with project pointers.
A lot of times we're trying to bring back a house to what it was originally like. The Woodlux Prep line products help us a lot with that. Having a stain and sealer remover and a wood brightener and a neutralizer is really helpful for us because it gets discolorations from sunlight, it gets mildew, as well as the small samples. A lot of times customers are going to want to see 4 or 5 different samples. Having those is really great for the contractor.
In my 20 plus years painting, there's been no company that provides a higher end all around package than Benjamin Moore.
And we are back with project pointers. Nori has the questions and the photos for us.
I do. So you guys can have the.
Okay.
Here we go.
I just love my new bottle opener.
All right.
Okay. So our first project pointer comes from Jack Presley.
Elvis's great-great-grandson.
He says, our 1920s cabin on a small lake in northeast Texas had to be torn down in 2022 due to some questionable repairs. We were able to save the fireplace and chimney. We want to build another cabin, but keep the chimney and fireplace. Any recommendations on how to do this?
Start building.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. If that's Texas, I wouldn't know that was Texas.
I wouldn't either. I would say you've got the pad all laid out, right? And you've got your... That's one thing about, when working with camps that have big stone fireplaces, you can't... Like, that sets your elevation.
Right. That's
Like
your main...
You can't go up or down much more than what the fireplace and chimney allows. So that right there sets your elevation.
Look how far that was pulling away from the chimney.
Oh, wow.
Looks like the place we work on up here.
Yeah, that is questionable.
Well, just start building. Like, do your layout. Just plan your how do you want to use the fireplace?
You've got a cement pad.
You got a blank slate,
right? You know that you're going to want probably your family great living room or centered around the fireplace, and if you want 2 bedrooms,
and the fireplace gets smaller. You're just gonna when you frame it, you're gonna frame it with probably put a couple jack studs next to it, and then frame it square up, and then fill in between your jack studs and the chimney. Don't worry about it. Don't overthink it, right?
Well, yeah. Well, speaking of Italy, you frame your walls up straight and then just fill in with mortar.
Yeah.
Right. You know, you're not going to get a tight seal. You can, some people we've seen use spray foam. You can use that as a filler and then put in mortar or something, cement, something like that to fill in the gaps in between it. You can also use something a little more stretchy if you need, but I would imagine Texas, it's probably okay to use mortar. Yeah, have fun.
Right. It looks like right there, the wall they framed right past it.
Yeah.
You might even be able to frame over it square too.
You'd never know that was Texas.
No, that's cool.
And I wonder if, Jack, are there any, I've got questions for you.
Ooh.
Are there any sort of building codes or restrictions as far as building close to the water in Texas?
I'd imagine he's grandfathered in though.
Yeah. But I know like out in Ozarks or whatever, you know, they build these boathouses and like all these structures like right out on water and stuff like that, which is...
Have you seen some of those boathouses?
Yes.
They're crazy.
It's wild.
That'd be cool if we could do that. But I mean, if it was me and you loved the camp, I would kind of build it in the same style. Well, this one had 2 chimneys. They just have a chimney on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, you could almost do...
Back in the day, had 2.
Yeah. Timber frame style, whatever you have access for materials, or if you want a quick shell, just get it done, closed in. But we're not coming to Texas. Sorry.
We'll build it for you up here. You have to come get it. But
I know. I'm sure it was.
Texas, oh God, I'd die in the heat.
Yep.
Someday we're gonna build cabins in section and be able to send them off from our shop.
Someday.
Not now. Someday.
Okay, and then our second project pointer comes from Kurt Sagendorf. I have a toilet in my downstairs and it flushes out the back because the pipe is on the bottom of the wall. Do I have to put the toilet up on a platform to flush it, or can I just put it on the floor? The piping does go up behind the wall before it goes out, and everyone says I need a platform to give it a little power to get the waste up the pipe.
Bathroom science.
Well, where's Doug?
More
We need him.
I think he's saying so that goes out the back.
So
is he talking about the
So at the back 40, in the bathroom beside the paint room,
yeah,
that is a back outlet toilet.
Because we have a pump system.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not?
No, which I didn't realize till Doug had done that. It actually has like a force assist, like a pressure assist. So it just helps push it along, but it's not a pump toilet.
Good. Really? Because you hear it go.
Yeah. But up above, it's got like, it pressurizes the water a little more. So it just gives that extra.
Well, there you go.
To send it out. But they do make the pump systems, which will pump up.
And that's how we put them in basements. And
yeah.
The lower areas.
But if your main sewer line isn't up above the toilet and it is really just beside it, you can get a pressure assist back outlet toilet.
There you go. Way better than a platform.
Yes.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah, and check out the toilet next time.
I'm going to take a better look. Well, I learned something today. Yeah, and if you have more questions, send them to us at podcast@mainecabinmasters.com. Keep them coming.
On questions.
Oh, and pictures. We love pictures. Videos, we haven't seen a video yet. So.
Video is like a foot in.
Yeah. Yeah. You send a video along, you're going to get on the podcast.
Whoa, yeah.
Well, we do screen them first, so.
Yep.
Just to make sure.
Okay. Now we have some questions for Chase and Ryan. Our first comes from Scott Major. What size are the boards and dimensions of wood you use for flooring?
Depends on the day and the job.
Yeah, specifically flooring. I'd say typically it's 3/4 inch or 7/8 inch thickness. Yep. When you see the wide pine boards, it's 7/8 inch shiplap.
Yeah, a lot of the budget we're working with trying to save money. So pine floors, it's perfect for camp.
Yep.
Shiplap, 1x10, 1x12, 1x8 sometimes.
Yep.
Sometimes use southern yellow pine.
Yep. 3/4 inch thickness, tongue and groove.
Yeah, that's usually what? Oh, we have some 5 inch, 6 inch, 3.5 inch.
Yep. random widths.
Sometimes I was remember we used to do we got all that oak for a while. We getting that.
Yeah.
That was a lot of work, but it came out cool.
Yes, I do remember that. That was a good one.
But I mean, you can use anything for floor if you want to. It's just all it's what you want to get up. It's gonna be a softwood. You know, it's gonna have character.
Yep.
Hardwood.
And the only thing I would say is try to have them either overlap or interconnect. It just helps with gaps in between them and stuff building up.
Yeah, because with the oak, we used to have to try to wedge it and then put sawdust in and poly it.
Yep. And, you know, over time, they'll fill in with dirt and crud and stuff like that. But
Okay, perfect. The second question comes from Tom Reed, who asked, what brand of deck screws do you use when attaching post and beams?
GRK.
The best screw ever.
Best screw ever.
And they really are, because I actually had this conversation with Steve Colby, one of our carpenters, because one of the big box stores had a sale. And remember, I bought like 10 boxes for like a tenth of the price. And literally, a GRK just dries faster and smoother. I had some fake GRKs the other day with the new drill we have with those batteries. It kept spinning.
Yeah.
There really is a difference in screws.
Today I was using a Phillips head. I'm like, we are so spoiled. Now if I run across flathead, I throw them away.
Oh,
if I had a brand new box, I wouldn't use them.
You're going to be fascinated by this story. So I'm building the pool house.
Yep.
And my buddy Chris Whalen was down at Barn Boards and More and found these old hinges, okay? It's a triple garage door hinge from this company that's still in service. So you have one door on a hinge, and the other two, it makes it fold. It was in its original packaging, okay, from 1926. It was like, I feel like I was Indiana Jones. I had to cut the metal off, and like the old crate, and it had hay in it. So I'll show you, it was fascinating. So I take all the parts out, and it looked like it was just made yesterday. But it came with a box of all the screws. They were black, anodized, flathead.
Do you use the flatheads?
No, check them.
Good.
I don't know if I can use it, but it goes at an angle with these hinges and stuff, so the door's accordion, so you can open the whole space up. Pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Flathead, so. But literally everything else looks like it's the stuff they still make today.
Yeah. Nice.
That was pretty cool.
Okay.
But yes, GRK.
Something good timeless. Sorry, sidetrack.
So our third question comes from Jerry Fries. Why don't the owners of the cabins you all are working on clear out their cabins?
Well, a lot of them do.
And now they do.
Now they do.
Yeah. I mean, in some of the earlier episodes, they didn't, and we've learned that it was just easier. And if you go into a cabin and you see stuff, it's stuff that they don't want. They've gone through it. They've pulled what they want to keep. Anything we find and can reuse, great. But it's stuff that they either want thrown away or don't care about.
That's the rule. Yeah, if you leave it, it's.
Yep.
And we've taken some stuff they want it back. We're like, nope, that's the rule. Sorry, it's ours now.
Yep.
Just kidding. But yeah, at the first couple of seasons, I would get frustrated because it's like, you're having us clean your stuff out. This is going to go away from the budget's only so big. So I think people saw how the show works. Like, okay, I'd rather pay them to build than to clean out my cabin.
And we tried it, just moving stuff from corner to corner, but odds are it's always going to be in the wrong spot. And so now the cabins are emptied out if it is stuff that camp owners actually care about.
I mean, there's been a couple times when something fell through and we started a cabin like last minute.
Sure.
Yeah.
And, or if there's something left, they'll leave a sign on it that says, please reuse or reincorporate or something like that. But for the most part, the stuff in the cabins is dealt with.
Got it. Okay. Our last question comes from Mark Henwood. I watch your show all the time and notice that on almost all your renovations, they never seem to install downspouts and eave straw. Is that it?
I was going to ask you.
Eave straw.
I don't know what that is.
Are you serious?
Just wondering why.
Guess what I have to...
Is that a fancy word for gutter?
I think so.
That's what I was wondering if I think.
Oh my God, life is so funny. I had to talk to you. We got to get a gutter in tomorrow at one of the jobs. So funny. I was supposed to do a gutter today and it didn't work. And then another job and he has to get a gutter ASAP. And we never do gutters.
We don't do gutters.
Life is cruel, karmic sometimes.
Well, why not? Why don't you do gutters?
Just because with the budget's gone by then. That's that's the last. It's just like changing the doors. Like,
And they don't look good on camera.
yeah,
And they are extremely seasonal.
and the older we get, the less we like heights.
Yep. You don't want to leave gutters up through the winter because they'll just be ripped off the camp by the time you get back 9 times out of 10.
But I say we blame it on the production company.
Yeah.
Looks bad on camera.
But I mean, and camp
Good.
owners are more than welcome to put in gutters after the fact.
Yeah, and if you want a good deal on gutters, and you're a camp owner, we have gutters. We'll give you a good deal.
Need gutter? No, that's probably a trademark.
That'd be the first time we ever got in trouble with this podcast. And Nori's here. But yeah, good question. But by then, it's the last thing. Like you said, it looks bad on camera, and we're on to the next.
It's true. All right.
Great questions.
And now we spin the table, spin the podcast.
Oh, this is new.
Nori,
Yeah.
what do you like to do in your spare time?
Let's get to know Nori, segment 7.
I work a lot, so my spare time is minimal.
So we really didn't even get into your other job.
My lifeguarding,
Yes.
swim instructor.
Yeah. You work at the YMCA.
Yep.
What's it like to fail a kid that doesn't pass a swim test? Does it get easier over time?
No, it's always hard.
Because
But
you're saving his life.
yeah, it's better to have them in the shallow end if they can't swim than in the deep end.
Life advice by Nori.
Don't go in the deep end if you can't swim. And you are going to be doing the Ironman again this summer.
I am. I will be lifeguarding out in a kayak in the river.
Did your mom do the Ironman last year? No, she don't.
Erica did it.
Erica did it.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw those poor people coming in West Garden at the end of it. They were not doing so good.
But you said people were because it's the swimming in the Kennebec from Augusta down to Hollowell.
Yeah.
And they would be swimming and Nori would have to direct them and
Yeah. Really, when you're swimming, your head's pretty much always under. So they would just go anywhere they wanted, but they have this specific track that they have to stay in. So your job is sort of
Are you poking
keep
them
them
in
in
the
there.
back?
No, they'll run right into your kayaks.
Oh,
they're
Right
so
in their
focused
head.
and going fast.
Yeah.
that's pretty cool for this area, though. That's a huge event.
Yeah, it's great.
Wait, so they're going with the current.
They're
Yep.
going with the current. They're cruising and yeah.
And what's crazy is 50 years ago, you couldn't swim in this water.
Yeah.
I bet if we went back in time, we told some old time, oh, they're gonna have these races. They would think we were crazy.
I was just talking about the whatever race with somebody.
Someone's been posting old pictures.
The giant cinder block float that Gagne and Sons used to put in it.
Oh yeah.
And it was I know why they got rid of it because it was a hammer fest.
Oh, I remember. I went my senior year. My buddy, 3 of us in a canoe. We had to pull out because we were getting water ballooned 3 high school kids. They tipped our canoe. I think I was crying. Literally.
Oh, it was.
Oh,
Yeah.
People were just out of control.
They would have just launching them at crowds on the shore.
Oh, yeah.
People from the big bridge in Augusta would be dropping stuff onto floats. It was just
Back when you could drink in public.
mayhem.
I'd love to see a video of that.
Oh yeah, sorry. Back to Nori.
Uh-huh.
You are the second oldest Morrill kid. Your older sister recently graduated.
Yes, she did.
Where are you going to go to college?
I'm pretty sure that's not on the sheet.
You're the king of the household, then, the kids.
Yep.
Are you going to miss your older sister?
Yeah, of course I will.
Are you going to go visit your older sister?
I mean, she's in Vermont, so sure.
Are you going to drive her car and desert Babs?
That's a really tough one.
Nori's car is named Babs.
Yeah, it's Mimi's old car.
Yeah, because your sister cannot bring a car.
No, she can't. It's not allowed.
Yeah.
She's stuck.
What year of school are you going into?
Senior.
So if we do get Nori, we only get her for 1 year.
Sounds like she doesn't want the job. She's busy.
I think Evil really wants it, so I think you should give it to her.
What a very political way to bow out
It's true.
gracefully.
You are very busy. You've always just been independent and done your own thing and worked hard.
Yeah, thanks.
We don't want to hold you back.
Has the show growing up around Maine Cabin Masters been a positive impact on you?
I think it's been neutral.
Really?
I mean, it started when I was 7, maybe. So for the majority of my life, it's been going on. So it's,
it's just been there.
yeah.
But don't you feel like a long time you don't even notice it? You just living your
Yeah.
life.
Yep, living the life.
No, you're just living your life. Like
Yeah.
like we're just going to work, and then everyone else that's like, oh, they're on TV. I don't think about it until someone's like, oh, says something.
That's true. Until we do an event like the lobster bake, and then you're like, oh. Now, have you noticed anything from the Italy since the Italy show has aired as far as reaction to the show or more recognized from the show?
I don't understand.
I think your mom's gonna be more because these guys have been a big part of it. Your mom really shines in the show,
And she avoided it the most.
right? But she really
We would
did.
drag
She
the
did
kids with us forever, but we couldn't drag Sarah
right,
with us
right.
wherever.
I think this is Sarah's moment. She shines.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Great answer.
Thanks.
And did you love having George in Italy?
Yeah, he was probably the best part. I think he loved it more than us. He was the star of all the sets everywhere we went.
And he had you guys on himself.
That's true.
Do you think Otis is over it now that you guys are home? He's not mad anymore.
I don't think Otis is ever mad. He got to stay with Mimi. I'm sure she spoiled him.
I think Otis is over Dolly.
Oh, I could see.
Yeah, that's fair.
We were swimming yesterday, and Otis had no time. Before Otis would play with Dolly, now he has no time for her whatsoever.
I'm over you.
Been there, done that.
Well, I think you get an A+ today.
Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. And
Yep.
even if you aren't with us, you'll stop back and thank you
Yeah.
for joining us. Thank you
Us out.
for humoring us,
Sure.
and good luck lifeguarding and nannying.
Yep.
Do you
Thanks.
consider yourself a nanny?
Yeah, I guess. Or a babysitter.
Nanny sounds more fit.
It's not. Yeah, it's professional.
Adolescent concierge.
Yeah.
Au pair?
Au pair. I think that's only for if you're abroad.
Oh, but
You were abroad.
you were abroad.
Well, I don't think it works like that.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you, as always, to our sponsors, Hammond Lumber, Nelma, Benjamin Moore, and From the Woodshed. We'll be talking to you. From the Woodshed is brought to you by Nelma. See the stamp, trust quality. Hammond Lumber Company, our building materials supplier, and Benjamin Moore, the official paint and stain supplier of the Kennebec Cabin Company. Only available at locally owned stores.